So today we are going to see various types of forces and design of a quarter joint. So last time we had studied regarding the introduction, basic, factor of safety and all. So I had already uploaded the videos on YouTube. You can go through it. So let us start with this particular lecture. Learning objective of the lecture are, we will see what are different types of load, what is stress, different types of stresses, and then we will go for the design of quarter joints, in which we will study different modes of failure of a quarter joint. Now let us start with types of loads. So the machine element or component are subjected to various external loads, which includes forces, bending moment and torsional moment, or we call it as torque. The loads are basically classified into three types: static load, fluctuating load, and impact load. So as we all know that the components are subjected to various external loads. It may be a direct force which is coming or acting on the component. The force may be creating a tensile or compressive stress. It may be a bending moment. Bending moment is occurred if the force is applied at offset, that means eccentric, and a torsional moment or a torque which occurs the twist. So these loads are classified into three categories: static load, fluctuating load, and impact load. So what do you mean by static load? The load which does not change in magnitude, direction, or point of application. Once it is applied, it is constant. It does not change in its magnitude, it doesn't change its direction, or it is not moved from the point of application. So that is static load. It is stationary. Once applied, it is fixed at that particular position with the same magnitude and direction. Then second, we have fluctuating load. Load which changes in magnitude and or direction and or point of application. So any one of the above parameters, magnitude, direction, or point of application may vary. Then it is called as the fluctuating load. And impact load means the load which is suddenly applied with some velocity. That we call it as the impact load, like a hammer blow. When you are just giving a blow with a hammer, that type of load is called as the impact load. Now, because of this load or forces or bending moment or torque which is acting on the element or the component, different stresses are obtained, different stresses are produced in the component. So which are the stresses? So for that, let us see what is stress. When a mechanical component is subjected to an external static force, a resisting force is set up within the component. The internal resisting force per unit area of the component is called stress. So what is stress? It is the internal resistance. So when we apply force, there is some reaction, there is some internal resistance offered by the component, and that then this particular resistance is called as stress. So if I am pulling the component from both sides, that means I say that it is a tensile force. So when I am pulling the component will try to pull it inside. It resists in the opposite direction. So it creates the force in opposite direction, trying to pull it inside. So this type of stress is called as the tensile stress. Similarly, if I compress the object, it will try to resist in the opposite direction. So the stress or the internal resistance which is set up will be in the opposite direction, and that type of stress we call it as the compressive stress. So internal resisting force per unit area of the component is called stress. So for stress, we have two very important points. First one is the force and area on which it is acting. So internal resistance force per unit area of the component is called as stress. So stress can be axial stress. It may be in the axial direction, may be tensile or compressive, whether it is pulling the object or pushing the object. Based on that, it may be tensile or compressive stress. Then tangential stress, direct shear or torsional shear stress. Third one is bending stress. Bending stress when we are bending or twisting the object. Then crushing or bearing stress, when there is friction. At that time, it will be a crushing or bearing pressure. So we will see these forces in details. Axial force, then tangential stress, bending stress, crushing stress. So let's go for the first one, that is tensile stress. The stresses are called tensile when the fibers of the component tend to elongate due to external force. Here you can see an element which is subjected to a axial force P, pulling the object up. So in the second sketch, you can see that the internal resistance will be occurred in the object. It will try to, the molecules of the element will try to pull it inside. So that is internal resistance which is been set up. And as the force is pulling in nature, that means tensile in nature, the stress which is developed, we call it as the tensile stress, where tensile stress is given by the equation P by A. This is what the definition of stress we had studied. Internal resistance setup per unit force on the area. So sigma T is the tensile stress. Tensile stress, stress is denoted by sigma, and depending on the nature, it is prefix T means tensile. So tensile stress sigma T will be equal to P by A, where P is the external force and A is the cross-sectional area. So stress is P by A, Newton per millimeter square, because pressure is or force is in Newton and cross-sectional area is mm square. Then similarly, we have compressive stress. The stress are called compressive when the fibers tend to shorten due to the external force. So opposite to tensile, now it is compressive. So when the object is compressed, internal resistance will be set up in the opposite direction, and the stress produced will be sigma C, compressive stress. So sigma C will be equal to P by A, force upon area. The force is same, area is same, only the nature of the force change, that is compressive. So the nature of stress changes, it is compressive stress, sigma C. Third one is direct shear stress. When the external force acting on the component tends to slide the adjacent planes with respect to each other, the resulting stress on these planes are called direct shear stress. Now, the difference between the axial tensile and compression and the shear stress is, this tensile and compressive forces, they are obtained in one line. Here in shear stress, you can see that there is some gap between the two forces P. In previous, it was in one line, but here there is some offset. So there are two plates which are riveted to each other, and the force P is pulling these two plates on the opposite direction, due to which the rivet, which is shown here, is sheared. It is sheared, or it is broken into two halves, and the nature is shear force. So the shear stress is denoted by tau, and the formula is same, P by A. Tau is the shear stress given in Newton per millimeter square or MPa, and P is the force in newtons, A is the cross-sectional area of the rivet in millimeter square. So tau is the shear stress. Direct shear stress can be single shear or double shear depending on the links. Then next is torsional shear stress. The internal stresses which are induced to resist the action of twist are called torsion shear stress. The torsional shear stress is given by tau equal to mr by j. So the torsional shear stress means what? It is the internal stress which are induced to resist the action of twist. Assume that you are taking a pen and you are rotating it in the opposite direction in two at two ends. When you rotate it in the opposite direction, the twist will be created. A movement will be set up in the pen or the component. So that is called as the torsional shear stress. So here you can see a rod which is twisted in clockwise and anti-clockwise direction at two ends, and because of which the plane get twisted. So it is torsional shear stress. If M is the bending moment, L is the length, the torsional shear stress is given by the equation MT. M means it is the applied torque. T indicates torque, and R is the radius, that is radial distance of the fiber from the axis of rotation. J is polar moment of inertia of the cross section about the axis of rotation, mm raised to 4. So you are calculating this polar moment of inertia based on the cross section. So already you have done it in the strength of material. So we will recall this formula later on. So torsional shear stress tau equal to mr by j. Then the next type of stress developed is bending stress. A straight beam subject to bending moment mb is shown in figure. The beam is subjected to combination of tensile stress on one side of the neutral axis and compressive stress on the other side. See, there is one beam, rectangle, square beam which is shown. Now, if you bend it like this, so if the beam is bended in this fashion such that the upper fibers will be in compression and lower fibers will be in tension, such a stress distribution can be visualized by bending a thick leather belt. Cracks will appear on the outer surface while folds will appear on the inside. Therefore, the outside fibers are in tension while the inside fibers are in compression. The bending stress is shown here. So when you are bending a rectangular rod, you can see that on the inner side there will be compression and at the outer side there will be tension. So if you see the distribution of bending stresses at the cross section AA, it is compressive in nature at one end and tensile in nature at the other end, and where the stress is zero, that is called as the neutral axis. So bending stress is given by the equation My by I, where MV is the applied bending moment in Newton meter or Newton millimeter. Then I is moment of inertia of the cross section about the neutral axis. Y is the distance of extreme fiber from the neutral axis. So if you see the sketch, you can see a square cross section from neutral axis at the center. The maximum compression is at the top, so that is at distance y, and maximum tension is at the bottom, that is also at a distance y from the neutral axis. So the y is the distance of extreme fiber from the neutral axis. So this is how the bending stress is calculated. Then last stress which we are going to see today is crushing stress, sigma c, and it may be called as the bearing pressure, PB. Now, what do we mean by crushing stress or bearing pressure? A localized compressive stress at the area contact between two mechanical components which are always in contact with each other is crushing stress or bearing pressure. So here you can see a cross section, a circular rod is there and a circular ring is put above it, and it is having a force P. Now if you are giving rotation to this particular ring, the ring is in contact with the shaft and it will slide like this. So there will be a sliding motion between these two, and there may be a wear and tear. So a localized compressive stress at the area of contact between the two mechanical components. So the contact is here at the upper half of the shaft and inner half of the coupling or the hub, which are always in contact with each other, is crushing stress or bearing stress. So bearing pressure or crushing stress is given as force upon projected area of contact. So force is P and projected area is D into L. D is the diameter and L is this length. So it is projected area means like this. We can see it as a rectangular area. So D into L. So that will be the projected area which we are considering. So important point to be noted for crushing stress sigma C and bearing pressure PB is when two mechanical components which are always in contact with each other are not having relative motion between them, the stress is known as crushing stress. And if they are having relative motion between them, then it is called as bearing pressure. So if this rod and the housing, they are stationary, then the compressive stress will be created here. It will crush on each other, so that is called as the crushing stress. But if there is movement given to this, then it is called as the bearing pressure. So this is all about the different types of stresses. So in next part, we will start with the design of knuckle joint.